Yes, you are recording, and I'm going to record to the cloud on my end.
Okay.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's just see how this goes, shall we?
Sure.
Hello, my name is Don Jacks, real estate agent and coach at the Tom Ferry Organization. And I am here today with Tom McDonald. Tom, great to see you today. Real estate agent extraordinaire in Modesto, California. How are you, Tom?
I'm great, Don. Thanks so much.
Good. Oh, good, good. Hey, let's jump into this. I want to have a conversation about real estate in your world
Perfect.
today. Um, let's jump right in. First of all, what area do you focus in on so we're clear about what area and what part of the real estate market you're part of?
Okay. Well, my market area is Modesto, California,
Okay.
Stanislaus County.
Okay.
I specialize in residential real estate.
Okay. Residential real estate. So we're not selling the Empire State Building. If you want to live in it, if somebody's going to live in it, that's where you specialize.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
beautiful. So the real estate market is a hot topic right now. So many people are talking about it. What's going on? What do you see in the market in Modesto in your backyard as of today, March 2021?
That it is an incredible market, completely different than we've seen in the past. And a lot of it's due to COVID, I believe. But the main thing is that we have a shortage of inventory. So, buyers, sellers are probably hearing, multiple offers and that there's a lot going on in the real estate market. There is. But the main reason is that we have a national shortage of homes. But in our market in particular, we took a big crash in 2008, 9, and 10. Our property values dropped 65%.
Wow, that's significant. Okay.
They
That-
have, go ahead,
oh, and that was when?
between 2008 and 2010.
Okay. Okay. And then what about today?
Today, we are now past the high part of our market, which was 2006, 2007. And that has only happened in the last 6 months.
I remember you and I speaking about how in most places we had surpassed that amount.
Correct.
And in the last 6 months, you've actually not only you dropped 12 years ago 65%, and you've climbed back 65% and then some, and now are well above your last highs.
We are.
That's
And
incredible.
um, that, means something to those who have been in the market a long time. For the person today, all they're concerned about is, what's happening for them today. And the interest rates, as you and I know, having been in the business for years, are incredible. And that just offers such great opportunities to today's buyers and sellers because it gives them much more buying power. And in fact, there are graphs out and information that we have available that shows what prices were in each year, not year, but each decade, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, 20s, what the interest rates were. And now people have more buying power based on incomes today as opposed to what they were in those years. So it's the greatest time since I've been doing it, which give a little bit away, 48 years is the greatest opportunity for someone to buy and sell.
Wow, that says a lot, and it really says to us that think we've seen a thing or two in the last 27 years of real estate to know the interest rate matters more than ever, especially with our escalated pricing over the years. I mean, I hear stories of 18, 19% interest rates back in the day, Tom.
Correct.
I remember 7, 8, 9% interest rates by Fannie Mae being given out. And now we're what I think we're inching back up into the threes to today. It does make a big difference in the buying power of what you can purchase today. It's incredible. A house my buddy bought, Tom, for 600,000 is worth 900,000. But if he were to buy it today at 900,000, he would still have the payments he had when he bought it at 600,000. How about that? Like 4 or
Exactly.
5 years ago, right? It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So tell me, you mentioned COVID being a big factor in the real estate market. Is that the only factor right now? What's happening because of COVID? How are you reacting to the market? And how are you able to serve your clients through all of this? Or are you?
We are, and we've been very, very fortunate, actually. You know, I wouldn't call it a celebration, but we're certainly coming up on 1 year of living in the world of COVID.
Yes, sir.
And we have been able to help our buyers and sellers achieve their dreams during this period of time because the real estate community was deemed an essential business. And we've taken it very, very seriously, you know, with all the precautions that are needed as far as gloves, masks, you know, booties, protecting someone's home, that when someone is coming in, we have documentation that buyers and sellers need to sign stating that, you know, they've been tested or they don't have any problems with COVID, haven't been near someone with COVID, and taking precautions between showings of people of homes so that the buyer is protected and the seller's home is protected. So all of that is in place, and we've had a good year now to make sure that we're doing everything correctly to protect everyone so that they can go achieve their dream of buying a new home or selling and maybe buying another home.
Absolutely. It sounds like you have the precautions taken care of. I just have to ask, I'm thinking about the three questions that sellers and buyers might ask. What are the challenges I'm going to face as a buyer? What are the challenges I'm going to face as a seller dealing with all this new change that you're talking about, right? The showing process, the offer process, the inspection process. How does that affect all of that? And then another thought as a seller, man, if it's getting so good like 06, 07, 08, what's about to happen? And I'd love to talk a little bit about that with you.
Okay. So for the buyer, it's going to be a little bit different for them in that
Okay.
there aren't going to be open houses that they could be going out to and wanting to go see homes at their own leisure. Going to have to make appointments, and we're going to have to plan things in advance. It's not able to just, you know, at a spur of a moment, somebody call up and say, oh, I saw that sign, I want to go see that house. We have to make arrangements, do the paperwork that I was talking about. So there are a few challenges, but everybody's been able to adapt to them very, very well. The other thing for buyers to know is that unfortunately, they're not going to be the only person wanting to see that home. We have a tremendous shortage of inventory because of how our market has been, where we've just recovered past the time when we'd, you know, dropped off so much, and we've gone now past the previous high. We've had very little new construction, and our market grew because of new construction and the community growing.
That's awesome.
Just a little bit of ancient history. When I started back in the 70s, Modesto was 60,000 people. Today, the greater Modesto area, some of the unincorporated areas of Modesto, it's about 250,000 people.
Wow.
So the growth has taken place with construction. And
Okay.
over the last 10 years, we haven't had 1,000 new homes built. So we are so far behind in our need for homes that it's causing a tremendous shortage. Add COVID to the mix, and where people can live wherever they want, because many people now don't have to go to the office every day, and they can commute on occasion, but they can work from home. They can, do everything like you and I are doing. I mean, you're in Southern California, I'm in Northern California. We're having a meeting on Zoom.
That's right.
And that's one of the ways that we're able to do business nowadays, to make things a little bit better for everyone. And I think that's, on a buyer side of it, what has taken place. On a seller side of it, seller's going to have lots of people wanting to see their home. We can make it work for them by not having it that every day when they would wake up, I wonder who's coming to see my house today. I have to have my house ready to do things. And now we can set up appointments. We can plan it ahead of time. We have programs available, like something called showing time, where people can pick a time to go look at the home. So we can orchestrate it to make life easier for the seller, so that they can have a lot of people see their home generally in a shorter period of time. I mean, it may only need to be 3-4 days, maybe a week. And depending upon the price range, they could have 20, 30, 40, 50 showings. So it gives the seller an opportunity to have as many people as possible see the home in the shortest period of time. And if all the stars align, meaning it's priced correctly, the home's in the condition for the price, there most likely will be a number of people who want to buy the home, and they'll get multiple offers and have an opportunity to choose who the buyer would be.
Wow. Wow. What a process. Now, I hate to state the obvious, but I won't say it. I'll ask the question. What is that entire process doing for the price of the seller's home, and then ultimately what the buyer is paying for the house?
Well, for the seller, it's one, as I was stating, making it the process much easier and quicker. And
Sure.
for the price, it's generally going to be over the asking price. And the list price to sales price, depending upon the price range, can be on the higher end. In our market, that would be $1 million plus. Those, if they're priced correctly, are selling at asking price. If they're a little too grandiose, they're coming off the price. But if you get under $1 million to like 700,000, those are selling right on at the asking price. You get down under that to like 400, they're probably selling 4 and 5% over asking. And you get down into, unfortunately, what we would call the starter home market, which is now up to $400,000. They could be 7, 8, 10% over. The
Wow.
amount of inventory that we have, which, as you well know, but to let everyone listening know, from what they call a neutral market, is typically somewhere between 3 and 6 months inventory. Less than 3 months inventory is a seller's market. More than 6 months inventory is a buyer's market. We now have 0.6 of 1 month, which is 18 days of inventory.
Wow.
So it's going to be very not easy because there's work involved, and it's never easy for a seller because it's a change in their life, selling and all, but it could happen in a quicker time frame. And hopefully we do the job that will allow it to be as stress-free as possible by
Absolutely.
using the systems that we have in place. But for the buyer, it means they have to be prepared to make a decision. And if they see what they like, they probably should be writing an offer. And what I've been telling many buyers is so that you're not disappointed, maybe you're qualified up to X number of dollars because of what is happening in the market. You know, you may have to adjust your thinking a little bit and come down some. And everybody is qualified to buy more than they have been in the past because the interest rates are so low.
Of course.
So it
Don't
gives them
max it
more,
out is what you're saying with your searching.
correct. So it gives them much more buying power, but they may need to adjust a little bit of their thinking because there's a lot of competition, and that competition is coming from internally and externally, where with COVID, people can live anywhere. We have lots of people moving here, coming from, for us, it's west of us, meaning going towards the San Francisco Bay Area, the Silicon Valley. And a lot of those people are moving to, quote, suburbia, because that's what we are. We used to be a country valley town. Now we're suburbia.
Well, let me ask, I mean, and I don't know if there's an answer to this, is the lack of building going to bring the inventory back? Or is building going to come back and help the inventory? Are sellers just going to get to that point eventually where more inventory will come? Where's that inventory as you see it now after 48 years, Tom? Where's that going to come from?
We will have some inventory coming, but
Okay.
the process to get it approved takes so long. It's going to be a number of years. As an example, our company, PMZ Real Estate, has master planned a community of 456 acres. We have it on the market right now. There will be, you know, builders who will be interested in it. And just to put it in perspective, have been working on it for 20 years. So it's not like it just happens overnight. So there isn't land, there's some land, but not a lot of land available where you could just go in and
Okay.
have homes in a year.
Right.
All that has been used up.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
0.6 of 1 month, 18 days of inventory. That's incredible. So I think the answer is there. The sellers, now is the time, if you've been thinking about it, and buyers, be ready, right? Be ready to act. If you're getting into this market, be ready to make a decision because things aren't lasting on the market at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is the opportunity of my lifetime for buyers and sellers that I've seen to be able to do something.
Well, let's talk about that. What exactly today for a buyer to prepare for the market today? If you were talking to a first-time home buyer entering into this market right now, what are 3 or 4 things that you would say they are must-dos to prepare to win an offer in today's market?
Okay. They have to be pre-approved. And by that, I mean, get with a lender. And we have a number of lenders that we work with, and we would set them up with that person.
Perfect.
So that they know exactly what their buying power is. And it's just not for their benefit, because when they're competing against everybody else to buy a home, the seller wants to see that the person they choose is actually not going to just make an offer, but they're going to close escrow on their home.
Great point. Great point. Okay,
And
pre-approval for everybody.
everybody. And part of that pre-approval is having all of the information to give to your lender, showing, tax returns if those are needed, W-2s, all of your financial information, that they have it so that they don't just write a letter that says, we've looked at all this and they're pre-approved subject to a laundry list of a bunch of items. We want to be able to say that credit reports have been pulled, their FICO scores, the verification of employment. We've verified everything so that all they have to do is give us the address of the home they're buying and the contract. And as the lender, we'll be able to have that done in less than 30 days.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So pre-approved, not pre-qualified, pre-approved with all your documentation. Have your documentation ready. Number two, what else do the first-time home buyers need to be prepared with?
They need to have a good idea of what works for them as a family, or their unit that is going to be in that home, and how it's going to affect them. I mean, right now, because of COVID, things are being done differently. So people are looking at different ways to live in their homes. It may be that mom or dad have to have a place to work from home. So is there a bedroom that, excuse me, they can convert to an office? Is there a room that can be converted to a school room for the children? So you've got more people living in the home. And I've made my living selling real estate. It's been wonderful career, and certainly have enjoyed every minute of it. But things are different today. I think that people are going to very possibly live in their homes longer.
Yeah.
One is the interest rates are so good, they may not want to have to pay higher interest down the road. But two is that home has become so much more important than a place to just sleep. It's where your family is, as I'm talking about with COVID there. And, is there a yard for the kids to play in? Is there a pool that maybe would be beneficial? So it's looking at, like, for the first time home buyer, it may not be just, this is going to be my home short term. And I think people need to be prepared to live in a home for an extended period of time. And by that, I mean, at one time it was people moved every 5 years, then it was 7, then it went over to well over 10 to 11 years. Right. Now it's come back down. And that's great for us in the industry. We get to sell more homes. However, for the person buying the home, don't look at it just on a short term. Look at it a little bit longer term. And then if you've got more flexibility, because I see so many buyers that are approved to buy much more than they want to do. Yeah. Meaning they qualified for maybe 50, 80, 100,000 more than they want to make the payment for. And I don't want anybody to be stressed, but I would take into consideration what I'm talking about as to how you're going to live in the home and whether you're going to be there 7 years, 10 years. So you might want to look at it a little bit differently, because your toddlers are going to be in high school in 10 years.
That's right.
So is that going to work for you? So everybody should buy a home, have the opportunity to do it, but look at it a little bit more in terms of planning, just as we do in our business. And Don is my coach for real estate, and the company that he works with, Tom Ferry, they're always telling us, plan not by just the quarter or the half of the year, plan for the year, 3 years, 5 years, 7, 10, 20-year plan. So I would say for home buyers, have more than just, I want to get out of that apartment and get into a house. Give it a little bit more thought as to how it's going to work for you and your situation and what your situation is going to be a number of years from now.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. All right. So I have a question going back to how the length of time in homes have changed over time. Um, what else has changed? Tom, you'd mentioned you've been doing this for 48 years, whether it's buyer advice or seller advice or technology. What's the biggest change or three maybe that you've seen over the last, gosh, 48 years in the industry?
Well, I think probably the biggest change is the amount of information that is available through technology.
Mm.
And when I started, the only way somebody knew what their home was worth was they had to talk to me because I had the information from our multiple listing. We were the keeper of all the information. It wasn't
Yes.
public.
Yes.
So originally I had a 3-leaf binder with copies of all the homes that sold in there, and I'd go in and I'd handwrite the comps. I mean, now you can go online, get estimates, zestimates, all types of ways of getting some ideas of what your home might be worth. So the buyer and seller has a tremendous amount of information that can make them incredibly knowledgeable. The challenge sometimes is there's so much information. How do you corral it and come up with a cohesive plan in what's going on? And I really believe that even though it's made it easier for people to get information, in order for them to be able to interpret it and know it, they should be talking to a knowledgeable professional who can help them interpret that information
Yeah.
and answer their questions as to what does this mean? What does that mean? Because so much of it is jargon, I would call it, that we all know,
Yes.
but not necessarily the buying and selling public. It's just like, you know, if I want to buy or sell stock, I call someone to do it. I don't do it myself. I don't have the time to know how to do it and to be a day trader.
That's right.
I
That's
know
right.
people that do, and they make a lot of money doing it. So spend time learning what you're doing, but get with some professionals to help you to interpret it, to make sure it works best for you.
That's right. Yeah. I think you're so true. My dad used to tell me that pay for smart advice, right? Get smart people to give you smart advice. And unless you're studying it, unless you're around it every day, unless you're putting in the work and the time behind the scenes, really putting the work in behind the scenes to understand what you're doing, it's dangerous and could be very costly to do on your own. And yes, I know real estate. I don't know stocks either, Tom. I have professionals for that. I agree with that. Right. That's so important for people to remember. Okay. I wanna end with three more questions.
Okay.
One, what's exciting about real estate today? With all the changes, all that's going on, all the stress, if you will, about lack of inventory, increased pricing, COVID, what's it got you excited about still being in the real estate business today?
For me, it's been the same since the day I started. It's just the markets have changed and the buyers and sellers have changed. But for me, it's helping people achieve their dreams.
That's awesome.
Everybody dreams of, I mean, maybe everybody is too broad a term, but an awful lot of people dream of buying and owning a home and having something they can call theirs that eventually may, be paid off and becomes a nice asset for them because real estate increases in value over time. It may not month to month and year to year, but over a period of time. I mean, in 1973, the average sales price was $29,000. In 2021, the average sales price is approaching 400,000. So
Big difference.
exactly. And if I still had the home that we bought in 1973, that was a little bit more than that, it would be, worth more. So you could have $500,000 of enjoyment that now is money.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
I would say that has never changed, and that's what excites me every day, getting to help people achieve their dreams.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, any last words, any last thoughts on your mind, any advice for anybody in the market right now we could leave them with?
I would say start, doing some homework, getting information, and once you're starting to get a comfort level, choose a professional to work with and commit to them and have them commit to you. And if you find someone that their personalities mesh, it should make for a very, very good relationship, because buying and selling, I mean, we're talking about all the pluses and what might be some of the minuses, but it's still most likely the largest decision that most people ever make in their life. And it can be stressful. So you want someone that can kind of hold your hand, guide you, and make it as stress-free as possible. So that when it's all said and done, it's like, wow, that was so exciting. I'm really glad that I bought that home, as opposed to, I don't know if I ever want to do that again.
Great point. Much like coaching, the collaboration between agent and client is so important. And in today's environment, the collaboration, the communication is more important than ever, right? There is so much information out there, but the dissection of that and the trust that you need back and forth to get through that and make the right decisions for the client's family is imperative. And you do that day in and day out, Tom. Um, Proud of you, proud of the team,
Thank you.
and wish you nothing but success. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. Really
Appreciate
appreciate it.
You bet.